Welcome back to the Adventure Barn. I'm Shorty. This is my barn. For you first-time viewers, myself, my pal Jake, bought a couple of 650 KLRs. I bought the short model, he bought the tall model. What we're about to do is put on all the stuff to go do the things, whether it's in the country, whether it's in the woods, or on the highway. We're going to build these KLRs into some ultimate travel machines, and we invite you to come along for the ride. We're going to be doing some reviews, some unboxings, and a lot of installation. Then we're going to take you along for the ride. We're going to hit our adventure trail. We're going to go through the Adirondacks, around the country, and anywhere else our imagination takes us. So before we get into doing our first review, I would like to remind everybody, I am not paid and I am not sponsored. Therefore, any review I do is my opinion and my opinion alone. And the deal is, if I wouldn't buy it and I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to recommend it. So you will be getting a true review on any parts. Now what we have here is a package from Rocky Mountain ATV. This is the Fender Elimination Kit. The list price on this kit is $74.99. Nice thick packaging. It was packaged well in the box. It says right on it that it is the Tusk Fender Eliminator Kit. And let's see. This did come in a very timely fashion too. I think I ordered it on like a Tuesday and it was here on Thursday. So everything that I've purchased from Rocky Mountain ATV seems to come in a timely fashion. Okay, so what we have is we have some directions. As promised, we do have some light wires for the light relocation. Oh, it looks like they gave us a sticker. Why wouldn't they? The license plate bracket. And it looks like we have a license plate holder. And I'm not quite sure what this is, but I guess we'll figure it out when we do the elimination. Alright, so I took a minute. I took all the nuts and bolts out of the packaging, the wires and the other miscellaneous hardware for the light mount, and I'm pretty impressed. So first of all, Tusk took the time and spent the extra couple pennies, and the instruction manual for the instruction sheet for the license plate light is actually in color. The mounting instructions look very clear, and so let's take a look at that there. And then I did take all the nuts and bolts out, and I did account for them. Everything is there. Not only do they take the time to list the kit contents, but they also have pictures of every nut, bolt, and washer. So I believe that the average Joe could easily do this fender relocation. Now, the Fender Eliminator Kit directions are not in color. However, for black and white, they are very crisp and clear. It shouldn't be an issue at all as the assembly goes. Overall, I would say my first impression of this kit is it looks like Tusk takes a little bit of pride in how they put their kits together. It's nice to know that I have all the nuts, bolts, and all the stuff required. Also, another thing worth noting is this license plate bracket itself for the relocation. It's very significant. It looks like it's about 3/16 anyway thick, which it looks like it'll endure some abuse. The bends are really nice. Everything's powder coated nice. I don't know. I believe it's a pretty good product, and I can't wait to install it. So, with that being said, stick around. We have an installation coming up. Welcome back. We have an installation to do, and I'm lucky enough to have some company to get it done. Without further ado, Jake. Jake, everybody? Everybody, Jake.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, and like I said before, we're going to do the Fender Delete and the Fender Eliminator Kit on. Okay, so today for this Fender Elimination Kit, you're going to need the following tools.
3mm Allen head, 4mm Allen head, 6mm Allen head, 6-inch extension, ratchet, 10mm socket, 8mm wrench, 12mm wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver, crimps, some Loctite, a heat gun, and this came in handy to get the bolts out of the tool bag. Magnet.
And that's what you will need to complete this project. We're going to start right now. What size was this, Jake?
These are 6mm Allen head.
Okay, we did read we're going to have to take off the little door there where the toolkit is. So Jake just took care of that. And with that, the luggage rack is off. Next thing that's going to come on are the handbars. And once again, that was that 6mm. Next is the seat. The seat is a 4mm Allen. The fender plastic. Jake, tell them where those are.
Down on the bottom of your tool kit, 2 bolts. Take 10mm socket. Okay, it tells us to remove these 2 bolts so we can take this panel off. It doesn't mention the side panels, but the side panels overlap this panel, so to take this off without breaking it or scratching it, you need to remove this panel, and to do that, you need to remove this panel in the front. There's 4mm bolts on each side. I'll hold these on. We'll have to remove them so we can take this off to access the bolts for the tail light.
So I think we did find that we're exactly right there. There is a step that seems to be missing in the directions. It's not a big deal. It took us all of
2 minutes.
Yeah, to take it off. So that being said, this is how easy now. Once you get those side panels off, this lifts right up and away. Piece of cake.
Also, these side ones, the front 2 had grommets on them, and these back ones had plastic washers on them, just so you don't lose anything. Got to keep track of our hardware. Some of it goes back, and some of it doesn't.
Some other stuff, Jake disconnected the electrical harness. So it's just those 2 clips, and then there were 3 grommets holding the electrical assembly together. That's now disconnected. From there, we need to release the 4 bolts that actually hold this piece in place. Those are 10mm, so we'll take care of that right now. Okay, being that it's going to drop the whole assembly, and we might want to save some of that for later, Jake is going to try to catch it before it hits the floor. That one meant business. Just like that, she's disconnected. Perfect. we've taken the fender off. We've moved it to a makeshift workbench, and we're going to disassemble it. And to do that, there are
2 screws. Take a 4mm Allen, 4 Phillips head screws, and 2 10mm bolts.
Why you gotta be so handsy?
I'm not handsome.
Stop touching me.
The inside panel, you can get to the 2 bolts that hold the tail light in, and that takes a 4mm Allen head.
The 4mm bolts are removed. We're going to remove the tail light, and then there's 2 rubber grommets that have metal sleeves in them. We're going to remove the metal sleeves and then take the rubber grommets out. All right, so now we have the fender eliminator bracket by Tusk, and we're going to reuse some of the hardware from the original fender. The first being these grommets are going to go into those 2 holes right there. So Jake and I each did one of these grommets. Which one do you think came out the best? I'm thinking this one did.
I turned the bracket around. We're gonna reinstall the steel sleeves.
I won.
You did, but you started first.
Okay, so now that that's done, it's as easy as that. Those are the 4mm head screws going back through the steel, through the grommets, and into the back of the brake and tail light. We opened up our bag that has the Tusk license plate light for the new bracket. Real simple little bulb. It's going to go in through that hole. It comes with a washer and the nut. Those are going to get threaded down both the black and white wire. Once the nut is on, that took a 12mm wrench. There is a supplied zip tie to zip tie those wires to the bracket. And we'll snip that off nice and clean. Next step is to take the old fender, and Jake's going to cut the harness for the license plate light. And we're going to put this aside in case we want to use it later. The reason that we cut it is we need this connector for the original wiring harness of the bike. And so we'll be making some splice connections from these to the original wiring harness. All right, Jake, explain to the good people what you're doing.
We're cutting these connectors off that came with the light, so we can use these butt connectors that came in the kit. Connect these together. Okay, now we got them connected. We'll give them a little tug, make sure they're good and tight. And we're going to use the heat gun because these are heat shrink connectors. Now you got a wet and tight seal.
Back to the bike, we have
the M6 by 20mm. They go in the farthest back holes.
And just a side note, the directions are not indicating to use a washer. So we're not going to use a washer on these.
And the supplied lock nut.
So I was getting ready to hit these with some thread locker, and my buddy over here reminded me that these are nylon lock nuts, so we're not going to do that either. Now,
the front ones are M6 by 25. And they are going to go through this guard, and through the front holes. And this is going to go against the bracket to protect the back of the light.
So they say that even though it's straight, it's going to go in at a weird angle. And as we tighten the bolts, it's supposed to curve. So we're going to try that. Okay. I'm almost in. Can't get the right angle on the dangle.
And these do have washers on the bolt head. And quite snug.
Alrighty then.
Then we'll tighten those up.
What size are those? 10 mil?
I believe these are 10 millimeter.
I believe you have the 10 millimeter. Right there and right there. Yep. Yes, sir. Couple of things. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit. When we put that bracket on, we weren't thinking. And what did we learn, Jake?
Nothing.
We got to feed the wires up through the bracket before
we put the plate on.
Before we put the plate bracket on.
That plate bracket can turn now.
Okay. And that, as they say, is much more better. I'll put this bracket back on, and it does bend once you start getting it going. So we're going to put this on. We're also, one of the things we also forgot to mention is you're going to need an 8 millimeter wrench to hold the back side of these while you tighten the lock nuts. So we're going to take care of that, and we'll see you in a minute. We fed the loom through. We attached the bracket. That piece did bend exactly like Tusk said it was going to. As you can see, it's on there. It is sturdy. As an extra precaution, we're just going to wrap a little bit of electrical tape on the new live and ground for that license plate light. And yeah.
Plug her in, back in business.
While we were off camera, what we did was we secured all the wiring harness back with the grommets. Everything's tight again. We're going to reassemble this bike, and basically it's going to go back together the opposite way that you guys saw it come apart. And we'll be back with the final product. We're going to do this partly because I had another visitor tonight in the garage. It is 34 degrees out. Crazy runs in the family. My son's out on his katana this evening, running around, trying to get some early spring riding in. So this is Sam. Say hello.
How's it going, YouTube?
All right, we'll be back with a finished product. Okay, so here's what we have. This is our final product. So Jake and I got the bike back together. I think it went pretty smooth all in all. Jake, what do you think?
Pretty easy. Seems to be pretty solid. Lights up good.
It's definitely handy to have two people at certain points.
It is.
Especially putting that bent bracket underneath. You had to have a couple extra hands underneath there to get things to mount up correctly. The only other reminder is, and I guess the only critique I have on the instruction manual versus what we actually had to do, was taking the side panels off. Wasn't a big deal. Took all of 2 minutes. We got everything off. Everything went back together without a hitch.
Yep.
I think all in all, would you pay $75 for it? $74.99? I would. Yeah, it's a nice clean look. When my son was here, he even made mention it went from being a kind of off-road bike to being an off-road bike in a matter of minutes. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Shorty, and this is
Jake.
And until we meet on the road or on
Trail.
have a good night.